paper review with me, Kalu Aja. Today is the 8th day in September 2022. So today I want to try and see if we can just record this, guys, not make it live, so that way it's more flexibility. So this isn't live per se, it's going to be recorded, right? Let's kick it off. The first story we have, good news story from the Punch. It says the Minister of State for Petroleum, Chief Timipriye Silva, is disclosing in Milan that Nigeria is going to build a pipeline from Nigeria through Algeria all the way to Europe. It's going to cost about $10 billion. He's saying the oil company or the state oil company of Algeria is going to be involved, and they might involve Eni, which is the Italian energy group. And the idea is to get more exports of LNG, liquefied natural gas, to Europe by next winter. I'm not sure they can get this done by next winter, but at least I love the plan. I love the idea that we're trying to take advantage of high gas prices caused by the Russian invasion of Ukraine to boost our gas sector. This is perfect. I mean, we have to go for it, right? Because I did see a report that said even Qatar and even the US cannot meet the demand that's going to come up in Europe. So Europe wants to change suppliers. Nigeria is a supplier that is near Europe. We should be doing this like yesterday. So good news there that we're going to try to tap that market. I hope we can attract the FDI in to invest in our gas sector, and then we should try to become a major supplier. It'll be a bit more expensive, but I think we should try to go for that market. So great. Good job there, guys. Next story is from The Sun. This is the headline says, "Don't use the private sector as scapegoat for servicing debt profile." This is from the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industries, Mines, and Agriculture, NACIMA. I mean, in summary, all they are saying is this, right? That the government goes and spends and borrows and then has to increase taxes of the private sector to pay for that wasteful spending. So they are essentially telling the government, hey, don't spend your money and then come back and tax us to pay for all that borrowing. I mean, we're going to pay this tax, we're going to pay that tax. It affects our profitability. It drives away investors. It makes our cost of doing business go up. So NACIMA is really worried and is telling the Nigerian government to cut down the spending and do not believe that the private sector can essentially take up the slack in the spending. I mean, Nigeria, again, like I say this all the time, Nigeria has a spending problem. Our problem is spending, and we've got to stop spending on really things that are not stimulative. The government's role is not really private sector profits, but it's the global good. Like they want to go into a society and make societal good. It's not profit motive, but it's everyone has got to have the support of the government. But still, we spend too much. We're paying money. Forget even the subsidy. We're giving money to poor people in quotes. No one knows who are these poor people. I mean, is there a database somewhere? How can we check to make sure that the money is going to the right people? We don't have all that information, and we're just taxing, right? So we're going to rein in that spending. So we tax our private sector guys more or less, so we can have more business created in the economy, right? Great. Just this story I wanted to bring up, the oil prices. This is not a Nigerian paper, but per se, but oil prices are down, give or take, about $88 a barrel. The investors are skittish over the fears of inflation. So we see oil prices falling, right? Because folks aren't sure it's going to be demand in next quarter. So they are reducing their forward purchase of crude oil. And we see crude oil prices falling to 88. So red flag there for Nigeria's budget and Nigeria's current expenditure pattern, that our revenues are going to come down because we might not have oil in that $100 range going forward. This is a good time to plan, a good time to look at that budget again and say, what can we cut? What can we do better? How can we spend money better? the deficit will go up, And the worst thing with this is that our output is down and the prices are down. So double whammy for us. The good thing is that subsidy will fall. So the payment that we're making on subsidy will come down. So that should help out the deficit a bit. But net, oil revenues will go down. So it's volume down, price down. So we're not really winning anywhere. But yeah, let's see what happens. But just a red flag for the government there. Next is on the Punch. The federal government and the agents bicker over Eastern Port overtime charges. Very interesting story. I mean, the background is that the Minister of what's his name? The Minister of the Minister of Transportation, Mwazu Sambo. He visited the port and he complained about lots of containers have been abandoned. It wasn't on air. The containers are abandoned on air because importers bring containers in and cannot pay because they say, hey, they bring them in, then the customs increases the charges or give them a special charge. So they simply abandon the containers rather than pay. So it's piling up in on air. The minister is saying that in Lagos, they have give or take of 1,600 containers abandoned with lots of cars there for over 10 years. So when you abandon your stuff in the port, the government can auction it. So he's saying this in Lagos is already filled with stuff like this. Don't let it creep into on it. Some things I picked up in the conversation he was having. Number one, that cars are abandoned, containers are abandoned. Why not just auction them, get them out of there, right? Auction them or give them away or whatever. Don't let it pile up there, right? But then again, what I did pick up here was that they are saying that the traders sometimes will refuse to pay. Then when the goods are auctioned, they then go in and buy it at an auction price because it's cheaper. So you bring in the container, they give you a bill of $1 million, you refuse to pay the $1 million, then the good goes for auction. During auction, you then bid for your own container and buy it at a lower price. That's what they're saying here. So a bit of shenanigans going in there. I think it just shows that if you make it too expensive, right, then these guys don't pay. They start to look for ways to avoid, right? But if you make it just about right, if you just make the fees just about right, then you can actually see folks coming in to pay. I think we should look for that sweet spot, that balance. Like there's this concept called the Laffer curve, Laffer, where Charles Laffer, I think used to work for the budget. He's working in the budget office, so doing Reagan. And he says if you make taxes 100%, you get zero revenues. If you make taxes 0%, you get zero revenues. So when taxes are low, no revenues. When taxes are high, no revenue. So you got to look for that spot where people will pay and not run away from paying, right? That's what you want to look for. So interesting story there. Next story, Nigeria signs bilateral air service agreement with Kuwait. So Nigerian government has signed what's called a BASA. It's from the cable with Kuwait. So when you have a BASA, that means that planes can fly and land using those codes that they give themselves, or what they call those things that they give themselves. I don't know that. So you can fly to their airports as a carrier. They can fly to your airports as a carrier. So then you have slots, and then they have slots. So that means you might see some planes coming in from the Kingdom of Kuwait to Nigeria. That would also mean that we'll then maybe be able to fly Air Kuwait to Dubai or something like that, right? Maybe that's the plan to broaden out that competition. So Nigeria has about 90 BASA agreements, air travel agreements signed, 90. I'm not sure how many we can reciprocate, i.e. that we can cover. There are planes land here, but can we cover them? But it's good. I mean, we'll keep signing them, keep opening up the economy to investors, and then we should see what will happen. The backstory is still that about 464 million that is still trapped in Nigeria owed the airlines. CBN has given them 265 million. They seem to be a bit happy. Let's see what's going to happen going forward. But again, I would say it's a good news that we're signing more agreements and people are willing to sign agreements with us to come in and do business with us. So that's fantastic. And then this last one we're going to talk about PFAs. The volume of assets under management by pension fund administrators now about 14.4 trillion as of July 2022. Big, big, big story right there. I mean, if you look at any of the policies that the Nigerian democratic experience has had since 1999, the story about the PFAs, the pension fund industry, has just been number one, and it's just been a success story across the board. From where we went from a deficit of 2.5 trillion, which was about 25% of the GDP back then, to now we're at 14 trillion positive. We have an account, your accounts open up in your personal name with biometrics. We have an industry that is government regulated but private sector run. The PFAs have invested their own money to set up these companies that manage your retirement. It's just a wonderful story all around. And I think the next step for these guys, like I spoke to the PENOP chairman also, was trying to link these pension assets to real estate, really. So that one way or the other, if you have a PFA or a retirement savings account, you are able to do something with it in respect to housing. Once that can happen, just imagine what that would unleash. So maybe you work in Lagos, maybe you can use a part of your RSA as a down payment towards a house or a flat. Maybe you can open up rent to own. It opens up developers getting funds to build homes. So it's just a lot that can happen if we're able to do that. And it just really adds to the depth of the market. It blows up also AUMs because more people would like to open accounts if they see that, listen, if I open an account, I can save money tax-free, and I can take that tax-free savings towards down payment of a home. So that's just an excellent way to sell it. I'm very bullish about this. I mean, they've done great. So the PFAs and the whole sector. The 14 trillion is invested. There's no cash lying around. And before any politician thinks they're going to come and borrow money, it's invested in assets. It's not lying around there. We might have a talk about, is it returning, is it beating inflation, but it's invested. It's your money. Whenever I retire, you can go grab it and they'll give it to you. So I would say good news there. Again, and well done, Nigeria, and everyone involved. All right, guys, that's really what we have. Not a lot of news day today. So I think we'll call it a day unless someone has a quick question to ask. If not, let me see if someone have any questions, any requests. We don't have any, guys. All right, super. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Kalu Aja. I'll see you guys again tomorrow when we do another business review. You guys go make that money. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care and bye.